In Module 2, we will focus on the turtle syntax for capturing and expressing RDF. In this example you see on the screen here, we have a single statement, all in red text there on the left, and it asserts that Ida B. Wells was a member of the NAACP. The first URI is for Ida B. Wells, the second URI for the property member of, and the third URI is for the NAACP. Worth mentioning is that each triple ends with a terminal full stop or period. The purple text in the slide is just a guiding text to help read Wikidata's opaque URIs. So Turtle allows for an RDF graph to be completely written in a compact and natural text form with abbreviations for common usage patterns and data types. And we'll get into some of these here now. First off, in order to make Turtle more legible or readable, and you may not think so by this first initial example, is the allowance for defining prefixes. So we have two prefixes defined in this example, schema.org and the RDF syntax. So anytime a class or property that is within those domain names, schema.org or RDF syntax, we don't have to write out the full URI. We can just use that prefix. We see here that RDF type uses the RDF prefix, and schema knows uses the schema prefix. Next, we have blank nodes. So we mentioned before that subject and predicates are referred to using URIs. If a entity in the data doesn't have a known URI and the data creator doesn't want to commit to a URI, they can represent entities using a blank node. And so that just is represented here as an underscore colon. And so there isn't in a namespace this particular entity. Because a blank node is not a recognizable link, any data for that entity is not directly resolvable over the web. This will make more sense in Module 4 when we discuss accessing linked data using HTTP. For a given entity, in this case, we have person 1 and person 2. We can continue to say different things about that person without referring to them multiple times. And one strategy when you want to switch between properties for the same entity, so we say here that person 1 has a name, Stephen Folsom. We want to say something different about that person. We want to say that they are in fact a person. Through a semicolon, we can change the property. So we've changed the property from schema name to RDF type without actually changing the subject. So if we were thinking this in terms of sentences, we haven't changed the subject and we've just changed what it is that we're saying about them. And similarly, we have another semicolon where we've changed the property again to schema knows, where we say that person 1 knows person 2. Next up, we have the use of commas. So if we want to use the same property but provide multiple values without repeating the subject. So again, we have person 1, but we want to say that person 1 knows more than one person. They know person 2 plus this other entity. We can use a comma. So it's just another way of expressing RDF in Turtle without having to repeat certain values. And I mentioned this before, but you continue to say something in RDF about a subject all the way up until a full stop. So we know person 1 has schema name Stephen Folsom, they're a person. They know 2 people, and we stop saying things about person 1 when we see this full stop, or we stop reading statements about person 1 when we see these full stops. And that then allows us to change our subject to something else. So we have a new subject here. The name is Tracy Snyder, a colleague of mine here at Cornell, and they are a person and have an occupation of librarian. A remarkably simple but convenient abbreviation in Turtle, or built-in abbreviation in Turtle, is the use of a lowercase a for shorthand for RDF type. So as you can imagine in RDF, RDF type is a property that's sort of ubiquitous in nearly every data set we come across. RDF types are asserted often. Rather than requiring you to type out RDF type each time, like here, we can have a shorthand of A. So it reads like a sentence. Person 2 has names Tracy Snyder, and they are a schema person. Turtle also allows for this nice way of commenting in the RDF, so through the use of a pound sign. And what that means is that when you see a space, pound space, anything after that is a comment that is not a part of the RDF, and it continues to be a comment until the line ends. And so the line ends, and now we're back to seeing RDF in this example. For the exercise in Module 2, let's take 5 minutes, open any text editor of your preference, and using Turtle, create both the most verbose and terse sets of triples for the following information. Stephen is facilitating this workshop, and you and a colleague are participants. So you don't need to use real URIs. Blank notes are perfectly acceptable for this exercise. Also, try not to get carried away with modeling events. And I'll try to make possible approaches available on the wiki page for Module 2. Feel free to share your responses and related questions with me via email, the workshop Slack channel, or the workshop office hours. Thanks.